Episode 7, Aster's Resolve. The palace felt like a prison, but Aster's determination burned brighter than ever. As he paced his room, waiting for news about the letter he had sent to Chris, he plotted his next move. He knew his actions had consequences, but he was determined to set things right, not just with Chris, but with his father and the people of the village. Meanwhile, in the village, Chris sat by his workbench, turning the sealed letter over in his hands. The servant who had delivered it had been discreet, vanishing into the crowd before Chris could ask questions. Carefully, Chris broke the seal and began to read. The letter was heartfelt, filled with Aster's apologies and explanations. He admitted his fear of rejection and his longing to understand life beyond the palace walls. "I never meant to deceive you," Aster wrote. "You showed me a world I never knew, and for that, I am grateful. I only hope you can forgive me and allow me to earn your trust again." Chris's chest tightened as he read the words. Part of him wanted to throw the letter away, to let his anger and hurt win. But another part, the part that had seen Aster's kindness and sincerity, held him back. He folded the letter carefully and placed it in his pocket, his thoughts a storm of emotions. Back at the palace, Henry's schemes grew bolder. He knew the king's trust in Aster was wavering, and he intended to exploit it further. One morning, Henry approached the king with fabricated reports. "Your Majesty," Henry said, feigning concern, "I have received troubling news. The villagers are speaking of rebellion. They believe the prince's actions were a sign of weakness, and they question the throne's strength." King Roland frowned deeply, the weight of the accusation clear on his face. "A rebellion? Are you certain, Henry?" "Certain enough to act, Your Majesty. Perhaps a show of force in the village would remind them of their place." Unbeknownst to Henry, a palace servant overheard the conversation. The servant, loyal to Aster, quickly reported the news to him. Aster's jaw tightened with anger. He couldn't let Henry's lies destroy the village or harm Chris. It was time to confront his enemy directly. That evening, Aster slipped out of his room, carefully avoiding the guards. He made his way to the palace library, where Henry often worked late. Finding Henry alone, Aster stepped into the room, his presence bold and commanding. "Henry," Aster said, his voice steady but cold. "I know what you're doing." Henry looked up from his desk, a smirk spreading across his face. "Ah, Your Highness. Shouldn't you be in your chambers, reflecting on your poor decisions?" "You're lying about the villagers," Aster said, ignoring the insult. "There's no rebellion. You're twisting the truth to gain power." Henry leaned back in his chair, his eyes gleaming with amusement. "And what proof do you have, my dear prince? Words from a boy playing peasant? Your father trusts me far more than he trusts you right now." Aster clenched his fists, but he forced himself to remain calm. "You may have his ear now, but I won't let you use your lies to hurt innocent people. I'll find the truth, and when I do, your schemes will crumble." Henry chuckled. "Brave words, but empty without action. Run along, Your Highness. You're not ready for this game." Aster left the room, Henry's taunts ringing in his ears. But instead of feeling defeated, he felt more determined than ever. He needed allies, proof, and a way to protect the village and Chris. His resolve was clear. He would fight for what he believed in, no matter the cost.